She texted, "I need space. Don't reach out." So I said, "Okay," and watched our 4 years collapse. 4 years together ended in 8 words, and I didn't beg, didn't argue, didn't chase. 3 days later I found out she flew to Portland with the coworker I was never supposed to worry about. When she finally said she missed me, I had to decide if silence was weakness, or the first time I'd ever chosen myself. Hi, I'm Aaron, 29. And 5 days ago, the girl I thought I'd marry texted me 8 words that shattered my world. I need some space. Don't reach out. I stared at my screen for what felt like forever, then typed a single word back. Okay. No pleading. No asking what I did wrong. No, are you okay? Just, okay. And then I put my phone face down, exhaled, and waited for the walls to fall. We'd been together for almost 4 years. Her name's Lila. We met in line at a dog park. I had a beagle that hated everyone, and she had a golden retriever that loved too hard. Just like us. I was the steady one, according to everyone, the guy with a plan, a backup plan, and a laminated budget. Lila was not that. She painted, laughed at her own jokes, and never put her shoes where they belonged. But she made our little one-bedroom feel like a universe. We weren't perfect. We had dumb arguments about dishwasher loading and whether hummus belonged on everything. It doesn't. But I never saw the text coming. No fights. No red flags. Just brunch on Sunday, a kiss on Monday, and total radio silence by Tuesday. After the message, I did something wild. I didn't spiral. I didn't even stalk her socials. I went for a run. That sounds healthy, right? Like I'm a stable adult who processes things well. I ran 5 blocks, tripped on a root, scraped both knees, and limped home like a wounded raccoon. My neighbor thought I'd been mugged. I told her, sort of, and she gave me banana bread and didn't ask questions. That night, I sat on our couch, my couch now, and stared at the spot where her painting of a crow used to hang. The nail was still there. Just empty. Like the room was holding its breath. And then it happened. 3 days after the text, I got an email from a mutual friend. Not a message, not a call, a whole damn email like it was 2002. Subject line, not my place but. The body? Oh, the body was a flaming bag of betrayal. I thought you should know Lila flew to Portland. With Trevor. Trevor. Her coworker. Her, just a friend, coworker. The one with the hipster mustache and a motorcycle he pretends is vintage but is actually just unreliable. I blinked at the screen. I said, okay, again. But this time, I didn't mean it. Let's rewind a second. Trevor was the guy I was never supposed to worry about. You know the type, laughs too loud, uses the word aesthetic like it's a personality, always one minor tragedy away from starting a podcast. When Lila started at her new job 6 months ago, she talked about Trevor a lot. Trevor says the breakroom coffee is a crime against humanity. Trevor's cat is named Jean-Luc, like from Star Trek, isn't that cute? Trevor thinks my painting has emotional velocity. Every time she said his name, I'd feel this tiny scratch inside my chest. Like my instincts were coughing politely. I asked her once, just once, if anything was going on. She laughed and kissed my forehead. You're my forever, she said. Trevor doesn't even recycle. And that was that. Until she was on a plane to Portland with him. Now, I'm not a dramatic man. I'm not the burn her clothes type or the post a breakup TikTok with moody lighting and Fleetwood Mac kind of guy. But I did call my best friend Marcus and say, I need to punch something that won't file a police report. Marcus showed up 12 minutes later with 2 baseball bats. An expired piñata from his nephew's birthday. And a 6-pack of something called emotional support cider. We went to the park at night like we were teenagers and beat the life out of that cartoon donkey while yelling everything I hadn't said to her. Why Trevor? Why Portland? Why did you take the crow painting, but leave the plunger? People walked their dogs faster to avoid us. Someone filmed it. I hope I go viral for catharsis. Afterward, Marcus handed me a cider, and I collapsed on the grass. I don't think I even want her back, I said, panting. I just want my story to make sense. And that's when he said it. Maybe the story makes sense, just not the one you wanted. I didn't reply. I just stared at the sky and realized the stars didn't care. The next morning, I got a text. From Lila. After 5 days of silence. It said. I didn't mean for it to go this way. No punctuation. No apology. Just a sad little whimper of a sentence. And I'll admit, for 5 seconds, my thumb hovered over the keyboard. But then, I didn't reply. Because something had shifted. She went looking for space. And I was finally starting to breathe. The next time I saw her was accidental. 2 weeks after her text, I walked into my favorite bookstore cafe, the one with the crooked shelves and espresso that tastes like a punch to the soul, and there she was. In the poetry aisle. With Trevor. Of course it was poetry. Of course it was Trevor. He was wearing a scarf indoors. It was 74 degrees. I froze. I almost turned around. But something in me, maybe it was the ghost of every silent okay I ever swallowed, decided I was done disappearing from my own life. So I walked straight to the counter, ordered my coffee, and pretended I didn't just feel my stomach fall out of my body. She saw me. Of course she did. She said my name like it was a question. Aaron? Trevor looked up from whatever Bukowski knockoff he was pretending to understand and gave me the nod, that smug, infuriating chin-dip men like him perfect in mirror selfies and motorcycle mirrors. I nodded back. Hey. She stepped toward me like we were about to have a conversation. Like there was still something salvageable between us. I could feel it, the guilt humming off her skin like a bad perfume. I was going to reach out, she started. I held up a hand. Not dramatic, just firm. No need. You reached out exactly the way you meant to. She blinked. Aaron, it wasn't like. Lila, I cut in. You needed space. I gave it to you. You used it. That's not the crime. Trevor shifted, clearly uncomfortable now. Good. Let him feel something other than curated irony. The text wasn't fair, she said. I didn't know how to end things. That made me laugh. Then say that. Don't vanish. Don't take the painting. Don't go to Portland. She opened her mouth to respond, but I kept going. You didn't need space. You needed freedom. You just didn't want to be the bad guy. She looked wounded. And for once, I didn't rush to fix that. I hope you find what you're looking for, I said, and I meant it. But I wasn't going to be the thing she ran from and then ran back to when Trevor inevitably revealed he doesn't know how taxes work. I took my coffee. I walked out. And halfway down the block, I finally realized something. She didn't break me. She broke the version of me that tolerated being broken. And that was a gift. Breakups are strange. Everyone talks about the pain, the crying on the bathroom floor, the nights you fall asleep to sad playlists titled things like Mood, Destroyed. But no one talks about the weird stuff. Like how your groceries change. I stood in the freezer aisle 3 days after seeing her and realized half the cart was empty because she was the reason we had almond milk, that specific brand of pesto, and frozen mango chunks for smoothies we never actually made. I had no idea what I liked anymore. So I started experimenting. Bought chocolate oat milk like a rebel. Hated it. Tried instant ramen with a soft boiled egg. Loved it. Made a Spotify playlist called Stuff Lila Hated, it slapped. Especially Nickelback. Who knew? I stopped checking my phone every hour. The silence stopped feeling like rejection and started sounding like peace. And then, just as I was rebuilding my little post-apocalyptic life, she texted again. Can we meet? I miss you. No Trevor. No context. Just a lifeline thrown into a pool she walked away from. I didn't reply right away. I didn't know if I wanted to. So I did what all emotionally overwhelmed men do, I called my mom. She listened quietly. Then she said something brutal and perfect. Missing someone doesn't mean they're meant to come back. It just means they left a space you forgot how to fill. I stared at that text for a full hour. I read it in every font my phone had. I imagined the conversation. I imagined saying yes. I imagined us having coffee, her apologizing, me forgiving, the two of us slowly untangling what we'd ruined. And then I imagined it all falling apart again. Because I didn't miss Lila. I missed the version of myself I used to be when she looked at me like I was magic. But magic, it turns out, isn't love. Love is choosing someone after the shine wears off. And she stopped choosing. So I wrote back. I don't think meeting would be fair to either of us. I'm not angry. Just done waiting to be chosen. She replied. Okay. That was it. 8 letters. The same word I gave her. And just like that, the circle closed. A month later, I was in a better place. Not healed, exactly. But, under renovation. The apartment felt different. Not in a new throw pillows and a crystal lamp kind of way, more like the space had exhaled. I'd taken down the photo booth strip from our fridge. I put the crow nail to use, hung up a dumb little print that said, "You are not an emotional support animal." It made me laugh every morning. It made visitors squint. Perfect. One Saturday afternoon, I was on my 3rd attempt at making sourdough, which is just a cry for help in loaf form, when Marcus dropped by, holding a flyer like it was a subpoena. "Dude," he said. "You have to come to this." It was a local storytelling night. Like an open mic but for oversharers. The theme? Things I didn't see coming. I laughed. "You want me to get on stage and talk about Lila?" He shrugged. "You already do it in my group chat. Might as well get free wine and a microphone." And that's how I ended up on a stage, heart racing, palms sweaty, telling strangers about a text that cracked open my life like an egg. I told them about the dog park. About the painting. About the bookstore moment when I didn't beg. I didn't name her. I didn't have to. She was just the ghost in the group chat. And when I said the line, she didn't break me. She broke the version of me that tolerated being broken. Someone in the back actually whispered "damn" like we were in a spoken word slam. People clapped. Someone bought me a drink. A girl with bright blue hair and Doc Martens said, "That was brave." I told her it wasn't brave. It was cathartic. She smiled. Same difference. Her name was Rowan. She drank whiskey neat and had a tattoo of an open book on her wrist. She asked me what I'd do if I could go back and change one thing. And I said, honestly, I would have replied to that first text with, "Take all the space you need. Just don't expect it to still be here when you come back." She raised her glass. That's the best kind of closure. We didn't fall in love that night. But we did end up at a diner at 2 a.m., eating waffles and talking about terrible breakups and the art of starting over. And for the first time in a long time, I felt curious about someone again. Not desperate. Not nostalgic. Just curious. Ready for the final part? Say, plus, and I'll bring it home. 3 months later, my life felt unrecognizable, but in the best way. My apartment finally looked like a place a person chose to live in, not just crash in between relationship disasters. The crow nail. Still holding strong. I eventually replaced the sad empty frame with a Polaroid of me and Marcus holding a trophy we found at a garage sale. It says, #1 emotional resilience. We earned that. Lila texted again. Just once. A photo of the crow painting with the caption, "I'm keeping this. Hope that's okay." I didn't reply. She didn't need my permission anymore. That part of our story was over. Let her hang it. Let her explain to every future boyfriend why there's a giant bird staring at them during dinner. That's between her and the art. As for me, Rowan and I started seeing each other more. Not a whirlwind. No cosmic signs. Just slow, honest things. Early walks. Quiet dinners. Surprising silences that weren't awkward, just peaceful. One night, as we sat on my fire escape eating Thai food out of cartons, she asked, "Do you still think about her?" I didn't lie. Sometimes. But more like a chapter I've already read. I know how it ends. She nodded, took another bite of pad cew, and said. Good. I don't need to be your healing. I just want to be your now. I almost dropped my chopsticks. And here's the thing. I never thought, okay, would be the start of a new life. I thought it was the soft ending to something I'd spend years trying to rebuild. But it wasn't. It was a door closing. And a different one cracking open. Now, when people ask what happened, why I didn't fight harder, why I let her go, I tell them this. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stay silent, and let someone leave. Because loving someone shouldn't feel like a disappearing act. Because, I need space is a request, but don't reach out is a line in the sand. And I've learned I'd rather be alone than invisible. So yeah. She needed space. And I finally found mine.